We are here at the Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist prediction season. What does this mean? Well, I mean, it means I'm going to make a Banlist prediction video. So in today's video, we're going to go over my predictions for the Yu-Gi-Oh! October 2019 TCG Banlist. At least I assume it's going to come out in October. Don't sue me if it doesn't. Disclaimer, I usually don't cover what needs to come off the list, and with this installment of my Banlist prediction series, it's the same. So I'll only be talking about cards that need to get hit instead. So moving on to the ban section, let's talk about Nightmare Mermaid. Clearly, this is the biggest problem card in the format. I made a video a few weeks back talking about banning the Orcus Trap Orcus Crescendo, but I was wrong about it. I was 100% wrong, because while I thought that would be enough, that isn't necessarily even enough to stop the Orcus engine whatsoever. And so we need to either ban Nightmare Mermaid or Orchestrated Nightmare. I feel like they're going to ban Nightmare Mermaid. The reason being is because, well, you could ban Orchestrated Nightmare. It really comes down to, do you want to give the Nightmare engine, which is already played for removal purposes, another additional method of putting bodies on field, or whatever the case may be? It's realistically, do you want to keep Nightmare Mermaid around as a card in the game, as an extra deck option, or do you want to get rid of the Orcus functionality with Nightmare Mermaid? And so it really comes down to personal preference. If you want a more consistent Orcus deck after this ban list, then ban Mermaid. If you still want Mermaid to be able to be played in other decks, ban Orchestrated Nightmare. I think they're interchangeable realistically, because like they basically do the same job. So make sure to leave in the top right corner. I'm gonna post a poll in the top right corner whether you guys would want to see Orchestrated Nightmare banned, or would you rather see Nightmare Mermaid banned, and then make sure to comment down below with the reason why you picked which option. Before we continue, if you guys want to join an awesome community of people, make sure to go down into the description and check out my Discord server. I'd love to have you there. Yeah, that's about it. Let's continue the video. Next, and more importantly than banning Nightmare Mermaid, we need to ban Ray. Okay, so moving on to the limited section, let's talk about Sky Striker Widow Anchor. I do think that Sky Striker 100% needs to be hit. I think the two big decks that need to be hit on this ban list are Orcus and Sky Strikers, considering Orcus is all over the place and Sky Striker is still the most represented pure deck. So with that in mind, I think Sky Striker need a hit, and I don't know if this is going to kill them, to be honest. I hope it doesn't, because I don't think they need to die. I just think they shouldn't be like the most represented deck all the time, because the deck is still one of the best pure decks this format. And so with that in mind, I think we need to limit Widow Anchor. Now, you may be asking, Blade, what does limiting Widow Anchor do? It doesn't hit the consistency at all, right? But it hits them in the long term, and it actually hurts them in breaking boards. So think about it this way. Widow Anchor is the main disruption source for Sky Striker. It helps them break boards. It helps them establish boards. Widow Anchor is the key piece to the puzzle to creating their defensive game. And so with that in mind, if they limited Widow Anchor, you have two uses with Widow Anchor, or three if you use Kagari on Widow Anchor. One use is your search for Widow Anchor, or if you hard draw it, I guess you can't search it, but you get one use there. Your second use is with multi-roll, and your third use, debatably, is with Kagari, although I don't see you using it with Kagari, I'm gonna be honest. So basically, realistically, you have two uses with Widow Anchor. Now, this hit doesn't actually hurt the consistency at all of the deck. You're still playing Sky Striker. It's just that their defensive game isn't nearly as good. Their grind game becomes a lot worse with this hit, and so with all of this in mind, I think Widow Anchor is a great hit, and I could 100% see this bumping down Sky Striker a few slots in the top cut. Next, I think we need to limit Luna Light Tiger. Okay, don't bust my balls about this. I know this is questionable, but hear me out here. Luna Light Orcus is probably the best deck this format. I mean, if you look at the decks that have won events this format, we have Grandmaju, which won an event. We have a deck like Sky Striker that won an event, and then we have Luna Light Orcus, which just out of nowhere wins 3 events. It's insane. I understand that 2 of the events were won by the same player, but my point still stands that 3 different events were won by the same deck this format. That's the most out of any deck this format. So in my opinion, I think Luna Lights are the best deck this format. And so you may be wondering, if Nightmare Mermaid or Orchestrated Nightmare gets banned, then what's gonna happen to Lunalights? Well, I still think it's gonna be a pretty competent deck, and Lunalight Tiger is just an easily abusable card. It's absolutely ridiculous. So I think limiting the problem card of the deck is probably a good idea. I just think they need some form of a hit. They obviously have like insanely redundant consistency, but like a Cosmic Cyclone on Lunalight Tiger now kills them. And so I think maybe putting Lunalights on a more fragile scale is probably good just for the format overall, so it isn't like the highest ceiling deck by a long shot. So that's actually it. I don't really think this ban list needs to do that much. We're in a really good position with our format. Our format is highly diverse, and can you arguably say that it's really a 2-deck format, being Orcus/Orcus variants and Sky Striker? I mean, partially yeah, but realistically you also just have a bunch of other decks thrown in there. And considering the representation scales, I think because of how diverse it is with every other deck comparatively, I don't think anything else needs to get hit. No, I don't think Thunder Dragons need to get hit. They had 2 slots in the top 32, which does not warrant a hit at all. Maybe later down the road they should get hit, but right now they just don't need to get hit whatsoever. Guard Dragons are not a problem. Stop saying Agripane needs to get banned when there are barely any Guard Dragon decks topping right now. Sure, Chaos Impact is coming out soon and maybe that'll be enough, but like realistically, Guard Dragons are barely represented, so what's the point in hitting them when there is literally no need right now? Nibiru really hurt Guard Dragons a lot, and so we'll see what happens from here on out. Chaos Impact actually brings a lot of support for Guard Dragons, but if you want to see that or any other video relating to Chaos Impact on my channel, make sure to click on the playlist right next to me, and I'd love to see you guys in another video.